Welcome, everyone, to the third episode of PBJenesis, the battle for peanut butter and jelly. My name is Adam Kahmann from Kahmann Gaming, Games for Good. In the previous episode, we had Zuffle versus Hyrulean42, and Zuffle came out the victor. For this episode, I will introduce the next two contestants. Our first contestant is HeatherFeather, aka my best friend in the whole world, aka my wonderful wife. She hasn't played that much video games in the past, but being my personal game tester, she has become very good at the battle for peanut butter and jelly, and probably has the most experience out of any of the other contestants. Fun facts of her are she prefers peanut butter over jelly, her favorite video game is Angry Birds, and her dream vacation is sleeping. And our second contestant is Dalinar42, one of my good friends from college who is a genius programmer and a master of StarCraft 2. Fun facts of him are he prefers jelly over peanut butter, his favorite video game is StarCraft 2 and Splitgate Arena Warfare. His dream vacation is the Guna Islands off the coast of Panama. Now that the contestants have been introduced, let's get started. Team Peanut Butter versus Team Jelly. And we on the left, with Team Peanut Butter, we have the daring and dangerous Dalinar42. And on the right, we have the happy and honest HeatherFeather. And as I mentioned before, Heather is my wife, my best friend in the world. She's actually has beaten me on occasion. She's been my most dedicated tester in this game. She knows a lot of the strats. However, she was so nervous in this match, and well, I gotta explain that more later after this match is over, because I already know the result. But Dalinar is also a very good friend of mine. But anyway, let's take a look at the match, which is just consisted of both people building banks, which is basically how every match starts, unless if you're rushing. Like unless the last match we saw a gnome rush. If you haven't checked that out, you should definitely see it. Zuffle versus Hyrulean42. Now Heather's favorite things to build is definitely bread and toast. She's building some toast, and oh boy, he has built a gnome. So Dalinar, if you don't know, is actually the husband of Hyrulean42, so that's pretty funny. I'm pretty sure when they were practicing before, Hyrulean22 used a lot of gnomes on Dalinar42, so he probably knows exactly what the gnomes are capable of. HeatherFeather is definitely a little bit more nervous on handling rushes like that with gnomes, which is hard to do. He is building those gnomes, and he built a Splares, and he is rushing her, and HeatherFeather does not see what is happening. Oh, she built a piece of toast that is good to defend her jelly, and she needs a Splares of her own or more cannons or something. Dalinar42 is being ruthless. He's ruthless, guys, giving HeatherFeather no chance to recover. Well, I guess he has a chance to recover now, but still, he is taking advantage of this advantage state and claiming the top half of the board by building bread and pieces of toast. He definitely wanted to defend those with cannons to keep her at bay, because it wouldn't take that much to take it down. Oh boy, she needs to rebuild some of those banks she lost. She lost almost half her banks. As you can see, she's building money way slower now. A lot slower than Dalinar42. And as I mentioned, HeatherFeather has beaten me on occasions. Especially when you do the forest level of Territorial Timber, which we have not done yet. perhaps we'll see it later on in this video. Anyway, how are all of you doing today, guys? Now, do you guys, what is your, I'm trying to think of a question here. What toppings do you prefer on your pizza? Leave it in the comments below. Super random question, but hey, what do you guys want? And now, a lot of you might think this is sinful, but I prefer Hawaiian. I like Canadian bacon and pineapple on my pizza. You guys can sue me, whatever, but it is what I like. And Dalinar42 is just building those splares to take out those pieces of bread. And HeatherFeather, she is building some splares to attack defense, but those attacks from before leaves her behind on money. She does not have as much money as Dalinar42, and Dalinar42 is taking advantage of this again and building more banks. Now, Dalinar42 is actually a very skilled StarCraft 2 player, and this game is very highly inspired by that. I've always liked StarCraft. I haven't played it a lot recently, and so Dalinar really, he has a lot of talent for this game, and there will be another player later on in this tournament who's also played a lot of StarCraft 2, and you will soon see who that is. And now he is just building a crazy line of defense with toast, bread, cannons, and gas cannons behind. That is a very good line of defense, guys. Because those gas cannons can take advantage of those gnomes trying to come at you. So if someone's just trying, if someone sees, oh, you have a bunch of toast, I'm going to build a gnome. Well, it might be hard to do when there are gas cannons behind that, deactivating the gnomes without blowing them up. And then even if the gnomes do get through, there's still pieces of bread behind that can defend the cannons. And then the cannons themselves are just a good line of defense. So that is a very good line of defense, having toasts in the front, bread behind that, a bunch of cannons, and then of course gas cannons. And it's always best to have gas cannons in the back because they have the lowest HP, and they also shoot the farthest, so they can still reach pretty far even though they're in the back. Now, Heather is building toast, but see how far those gas cannons reach. Look at that gap in the map. That is how far the gas cannons shoot. Now, Heather knows that bread's good against the gas cannons, so she's building bread to stop them. She knows the counters of this game. And now she's still recovering, trying to get the toast and stuff, and now she sees a bunch of splares. And oh, Dalinar42 does a good combination. Build splares in the front, and then flies in the back, because the flies can shoot rapid fire at your opponent, and they can take out walls of toast like instantly. Think about this. Flies shoots bullets every 60 frames. So if you have about 50 flies, that means in 60 frames, or in other words, like a couple of seconds or a second, I can't remember if this game is 30 frames or 60 frames per second. And Team Peanut Butter wins! There you go. I didn't even get to finish saying what I said. But yeah, so they're not giving me any time to react, guys. I can't even finish my thought. Anyway, what I was going to say was that every 60 frames, basically a piece of toast can be destroyed. And looks like Heather selected the Territorial Timber. And here we are. This is a new stage that you haven't seen. This stage is very interesting because if you look at the map, there's a blue square in the middle. That is the oasis. The first person to touch that would be the owner, and it'll change to their color. And as long as they were the last person who touched it, that person will gain more money, which is equal to 10 banks. So it's kind of a race to the middle. If you can get the middle first, you can have an extra 10 banks equivalent, like basically, on your opponent. However, to get to it, you see those gray dots there. Those are trees, and you cannot walk past the trees. Your cannons and troops have to be able to destroy the trees. So the only way to get there is to destroy it. And there's a lot of things blocking your way. It's kind of harder to rush the player because there's a bunch of trees in the way. Now, this level won't be played this much during this tournament because at the time there was a glitch that you could get stuck in the trees and it would just crash the game. And they have fixed that glitch. That glitch, at least as far as I'm aware, I've fixed the collision detectors and the slidiness of the captain, which has made it way less likely for the captains to get hurt. Or not get hurt, to get stuck in the trees. So if you download the game now, that glitch shouldn't happen, or if anything, it should be less likely to happen. And if you guys do run into that glitch, I would totally appreciate if you sent me some feedback telling me that there is a glitch there. I'd like to get feedback of this game as soon as possible. Every feedback that I get from you, positive or negative, will help me make this game be an even better game. So I would really appreciate it if you downloaded the Battle for Peanut Butter and Jelly and gave me feedback. Now it looks like there just have been building up banks and building cannons everywhere to destroy those trees. Gas cannons are very good at destroying the trees. And then they're aiming towards them. And HeatherFeather, excuse me, is building up her defenses with Toast. However, having a bunch of Toast won't do too much good if there's no cannons behind them. Oh boy, all this advice I'm giving to HeatherFeather, she's definitely going to give me a hard time after she watches this video, guys. It is not easy being a husband. I'm kidding. Being married is great, guys. If you have the opportunity to be married with someone great, get married. It's great. Gives you a chance to serve someone else, worry about them. Totally recommend it. However, never get married just to get married. Make sure you get married to the right person. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents, guys. But anyway, we're just watching a tournament here. We're not here to hear me talk about marriage advice, but it's nice to get my 2 cents in. And this match has not been too eventful so far. I mean, both sides have been building up. See, this would be a very good opportunity just to walk up to Dalinar42 and just blow him up with a garden gnome, because there's literally nothing defending him while he's building these banks. However, unless if you did watch the map and saw HeatherFeather coming. But he does not have too many defenses because he's been building so many banks. That's one downside. If you focus too much on banks in the beginning, you can be a little bit more defenseless. You have to get a good balance of building banks and defenses in the middle, and also building your walls and cannons in strategic locations. Looks like HeatherFeather built some gnomes. He heard those last. You can hear the sounds, and looks like, oh, and he touched the oasis. Now see how it's glowing brown like peanut butter? That means he owns it, and he now has basically an extra 10 banks. Equivalent. So banks give you an extra $1 every frame, and basically the oasis gives you an extra $10 every frame. So basically it's 10 banks. Now Heather really does love this level. This is the level she usually beats me at, and I don't know why. And it's fun. The funny thing is I'm always the first one to get the oasis, but she still beats me. I don't know. But she is very nervous, and that is something when you're playing in the match. Nerves can be a real thing, and if you can get your opponent nervous, that can be a good strategy. But he has Dalinar42 has so much money. He's been building gas cannons like crazy. However, gas cannons are very fragile, and if you don't defend them well, they just blow up, and that's bad because they cost $8,000. But they are so powerful, especially in high numbers. If you have multiple gas cannons, they, in my opinion, my biased opinion, I think they're the strongest forces. I mean, obviously, like, someone can just build pieces of bread and you can't do anything against it, but then that's when you build Splares. But, like, Splares, if your opponent, if you can build up enough gas cannons, you can definitely stop a big group of Splares coming towards you. And that is something that is very good to keep in mind because Splares are so powerful. So the thing is, having 1 or 2 gas cannons won't be too helpful. You have to build a bunch of them, which which is hard because they're so expensive, but that's another reason why I made them so expensive, because since they are so powerful in great numbers, I didn't want them to be, I want to make it easy for that to happen. Now HeatherFeather is building some portals, which is good for her. She's getting some defenses now. She actually has a lot of the land, however, Dalinar42 definitely has the most money. And now she sees the Splares and she's like, okay, Splares bad against the Toast, and holy cow, he's just built a bunch of gnomes, and holy cow, that is a lot of Splares, folks. What will HeatherFeather do? She's doing a lot better this game. She's doing very good since she hasn't been rushed. And now she's building a bunch of Splares of her own. It is a Splare battle. And see what Dalinar42 is doing. He's building a bunch of flies in the back, and the flies can hurt those Splares really fast. Even if she has more Splares, those flies in the back are still really good. So that's something you gotta keep in mind in this game. Even though Splares counter flies, flies are not completely useless. They're very good at dealing high damage. However, they're usually best in really high numbers or to back up Splares. Splares will tank the hits for these flies, while flies will be in the back shooting and doing lots of damage. And since they shoot so fast, I've mentioned this in an earlier video, but flies do shoot faster than cannons. Cannons shoot every 90 frames, and flies shoot every 60 frames. I might have changed that in the update. I know for sure that's how the frame data is in this version of the game that we're watching, but it might be different in the update. I think I made it that can shoot every 80 frames in the update, and then either flies shoot every 60 frames or 50 frames. But either way, flies shoot faster than cannons, and that is done on purpose because they are meant to be the frail but offensive units that they are. They can do little on their own, but in high numbers they can do a lot. And the Splares are just scary. He still has so much money. Dalinar42 is like almost $200,000. Well, HeatherFeather only has 50,000. Oh, it's gonna be hard for her because Dalinar42 has so much money. He can spend so much money. He is just ruthless. Dalinar42 is such a good player. See, HeatherFeather, she was going against any of the previous players. I think she would have won. I think she probably could have done really well against JB and Pinky Toad and possibly even Zuffle and Highland 22. But against Dalinar42, he knows how to play. He is a strategic player. Experienced StarCraft. He knows what he's doing. He's built so many banks. So many banks. And there's very little that HeatherFeather can do. And even though she has the Oasis, I mean, not anymore, but you see the last person who touches her owns it. I don't know. HeatherFeather is now attacking him. She's taking the offensive. She's like, oh, I know I can't win, so I have to like get through to him first. And oh boy, there's just so much happening. And Dalinar42 is the winner. Team Peanut Butter wins. Sorry, HeatherFeather, but it looks like you weren't able to go past him. HeatherFeather still built a lot of banks, but Dalinar42 had more. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. I appreciate it so much. Make sure to let me know what toppings of pizza you like on your pizza. I didn't ask a question in the last video, so I gotta make up for it. And I appreciate all of you for watching. Remember to like and subscribe. Share with a friend. If you haven't already, download the Battle for Peanut Butter and Jelly on Facebook. And remember everyone, video games can be for good. Till next time.